Hello. Welcome back. Episode 11, Power 5 Football, Power 5 Sports League Proverbs Podcast. I'm here with Coach Norman and Coach A, where we'll break down the journey from youth sports to the pros. Whether you're a young athlete, a parent, or just an overall sports fan, this is the place for you. I'm your host, MC Mike, and as always, joined alongside two Permian Basin coaching legends. Actually, three, I guess, today, huh? Coach Norman, Coach A, and Coach Bell. We're also joined by today's very special guest, Oakley, who will be breaking down some of his journey through the inaugural Power 5 Spring Baseball League road to victory and championship that they undertook this year with the Savage. Gentlemen, welcome. How are we doing today?
Doing good.
Blessed as always, right?
Blessed as always. Oakley, you are a young multi-sport athlete who is fresh off this championship run with the Savage. In addition to baseball, you also play wide receiver in flag football and guard/forward in basketball. So you definitely like sports, and we're going to be diving into what you love about them, what you get out of it, and talk a little bit about your victories both on and off the field. But before we jump into anything further, I'm going to pass the mic over to Coach A, who's going to lead us into today's prayer.
All right. Well, let's get to it. This is Bow. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to gather, share stories that inspire, Father God. Father, I want to ask a special blessing today that we lift up our guest, Oakley. Father, I continue to ask that his future is bright. Father, I ask that you protect him and strengthen him on and off the field. Father, allow his journey and his testimony of perseverance, discipline, and faith. I pray that our conversation today, Father God, be inspiring to those around, and things that we do and say today are all in honor of you. I pray this in your son's Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Right.
Amen. And as always, amazing. Okay, so we're going to jump into today's proverb. Coach Norman's going to lead us off in not only discussing, I guess, which proverb is relevant for today, but quite a bit of a hidden meaning behind this as it relates to today's guests. So, Coach Norman?
Absolutely. So today's proverb is, do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. That's Proverbs 22:29, man. And, we chose this verse today. I think you'll see throughout the episode that this verse speaks to excellence, to dedication. Oakley's commitment to the game that he loves to play, or games that he loves to play, because I believe he's dedicated to all of them, but baseball being his favorite or whatnot. And then just being a champion out there on the field, and that's it. I believe it is excelling in your work. He's out there putting the work in day to day, and he's excelling in it, and being celebrated as a champion. So I think this is very fitting for today.
Right. I believe I heard the term before we hit record here. I believe I heard the term the best wakeboarder ever. So we're going to have to expand on that a little bit too. Coach A, what are your thoughts?
Hey, I just like to throw in this Proverbs is letting you know that your talent alone is not going to get you, but it's your skill. Your skill in what you do, your fundamentals will put you in a place that when people see you, they'll see, how did Oakley get to this position? It'll put you in a place where kings are, not where a regular person is. So what you do behind closed doors, private preparation, cause for public celebration. And I remember I said that a lot in the first episode. So talent will get you noticed, but your skill and fundamentals will keep you there for a while. And that's why a lot of our athletes now, they'll go back to fundamentals and just practice the fundamentals over and over, so to keep them firing and at a high level.
Absolutely.
I believe we spoke in that same first episode about the dedication to practice and the hard work that goes in between things, right? And that is the game itself is merely a dress rehearsal for everything that you worked so hard for. And excelling at that work really just translates to that performance on the field. I'm gonna throw this at Coach Bell before I bring it to Oakley. I mean, everything we talked about, hard work and practice and all these different components, how can you sort of translate that based around your championship run this year? What are your thoughts about just that overall work ethic that's required and the discipline that you sort of see in Oakley?
100%. Before I comment on that, I want to piggyback Coach A and say that, Proverbs 22:29 says, "Do you see a man who excels in his work?" That is the Lord giving us an opportunity to tell others what we're doing behind closed doors.
Right.
When we excel, God shows us that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him.
Good word.
And who diligently continue their work.
Absolutely.
Somebody who sits back and just relies on their talent. Me being a previous athlete, I don't think that I ever worked as hard as my 12-year-old team did this year. I relied on my talent and that alone to get me where I was going.
Right.
And so seeing these kids work hard all season, most definitely, we started this league as an additional practice more than anything for our travel squad. We saw this as an opportunity for the kids to perform in a low pressure situation and excel. And I'm going to tell you right now, they excelled beyond my expectations and beyond my other coaches' expectations, and I believe their own.
Right.
The environment alone, and I know we're going to dig deep into that as we move forward.
Right.
But the environment alone allowed these kids to just play ball and continue working hard. You got something you want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely motivating. It's motivating to see the results. It's definitely motivating to hear, the work that went in behind the scenes. And we're gonna, like you said, Coach, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into that. But before we get to that part, Oakley, I want you to have an opportunity to tell people about you. Who are you? Where, what are some of your hobbies, some of your favorite parts about the game of baseball? What's your favorite position? I know you're sort of juggled all over the field a little bit. So, definitely want to hear it from you about, what you love about the game, what you love about baseball, what you love about sports in Midland, playing with your friends. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I don't know. I'm 12. I love baseball, and my favorite position is probably second base, just because you get to be in the game without having to be like completely focused on where the pitch is thrown or the direction of how the bat is. All you got to do is pay attention to the game, do your job, and help your team. And I just really that's what I love to do. I just love to help people and just to be on their good side and be on the side that I need to be, and just try to lift everyone up and just try to help the team.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. So, we talk a little bit about the work ethic involved. What are some of the steps that you take, I guess, on a day-to-day basis to help improve your skill set at second base?
Like throughout the day, I mostly just kind of think about like games after I'm done playing or something like that. Try to think about some of the mistakes I did or look back on the good things I did. On a day-to-day basis, I play the show a lot with my dad sometimes. And I'm gonna touch on that. A couple nights ago, he told me last time it didn't go very good for you, and then I beat him 5-1.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So this is
So,
MLB the show.
24. Yep, on my PS5.
Okay, on the PS5. All
Yep.
right.
And he said it was hard to hit. And I said, not for me. But
Wow.
yeah. So I'd kind of just try to be in the game and just try to think about it and work on it a lot with my family. Every day I try to do, if it's not baseball, it's another sport that I play. But every day I try to work. This summer we're doing summer workouts at my school.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot of workouts in the field, more like football. And then just overall conditioning and running and stuff.
Yeah.
But every day I try to get in the gym. I try to get in my gym and just kind of work on a sport. If it's not baseball, it's basketball. If it's not basketball, it's football. Football, it's any other sport I play or that I like.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing baseball, I'm doing any other sport or thinking about it.
So just to expound on that a little bit more, I know a lot of times we'll say every day, but is it actually every day that you out there doing something?
I try to do every day.
Yeah.
But if I ever miss like a day in the gym,
Uh-huh.
I either just try to work even harder the next day or just try to watch like film or videos or something on that
There you
sport.
go. Okay, yeah.
I made a little spreadsheet of every day.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got your little calendar and everything.
Yep.
And so if it's something that you're not doing physical, you're still doing something to train your mental rep, getting those mental reps and everything. Yeah.
I watch film.
Watch a film.
I play maybe a game. I have Madden. I have all that stuff. Or I just think about what I've done in the past that I could probably get better on the next time.
Yeah.
Or what I did good and how I could get better.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. That's
Wow.
cool, man.
That's I'm in loss of words. If you're at this age and you understanding the backside of athletics, the film session, and learning from your mistakes and how to get better. Like you are steps ahead of a lot of kids your age. But I want to touch on something that you said earlier when you said you like playing second base. You like helping people. How important is it for you to be a servant to others?
I really like to help people. And if they're in a low time, I try to lift them back up. And if they're in a high time, keep them high and lift them up even higher.
Yeah.
I really like to just help people either get back on their feet or stay on their feet. And just I like to be positive and just be nice and help people.
Yeah, that's a great trait.
And let's dig deep on that. Okay. Why do you like to help people?
I like to help people because not only does it make me feel good when I help people, but it makes me feel good when I see other people being helped when I help them.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they feel and that I feel when I help them or when they've gotten help. And even if I don't help them, I feel good that maybe because I helped him, he helped someone else.
Right. A very selfless person.
Yeah.
Very selfless person.
So why don't you help Coach A and Coach Norman understand who's the
I know you did.
You got it.
I know you did.
Dropping the hammer out of the gate.
This interview's over, buddy.
Dude, you gotta be kidding me.
I was told that one was sent to ruffle some feathers. So
yeah,
John turning over tables in the studio.
Yeah, man.
For real.
Well, to kind of get into that, both of my grandparents on my mom's side both went to UT, and so I was my mom and my sisters were, and then they went to Tech. But
they got smart. They smartened up.
Well, maybe. And so I've just always kind of been in that place, and that's just what I love. My favorite color is orange, so that kind of ties into that. I just love UT, and
it's okay. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
You still got time.
Yeah,
you got time.
You do.
It's okay.
In baseball, they're called errors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. big error if you choose tech. But anyway.
That's awesome, man. No, that's great. So I really a lot of the pieces that we sort of touch on here are really relevant to fundamentals that you learn on the field that you take off the field. And I heard the term spreadsheet, and all of a sudden I realized right away you're way above where I'm guessing most kids are at your age. And I see that in your explanation on the why, right? The why you like helping people, the importance that you see in that. And that goes beyond just being a great teammate, right? I mean, second base, there's a lot of trust that usually goes into making those types of plays. I mean, whether it's a double play situation, whether it's trusting that the first baseman will be there by the time the ball arrives after you throw it. There's a lot of components that are associated with that. And it's always encouraging for us, especially as a Proverbs podcast, to understand the values that you learn on the field and how to apply them off the field as well.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the championship run, and really the way that you guys entered the league, and what the original thought process was, and really what it took to make it all the way to the championship and claim that belt. I guess Oakley, will start with you, and Coach, I definitely want to hear your take on it as well. Seeing it from the dugout.
Yeah, like my dad said a minute ago, we kind of just got into the league just so we can get some extra practice, because we kind of started off the season slow and we wanted to get some extra practice in during the week. And I liked how it was, especially like during Thursdays at night where not many people have to do anything. And it was really, we entered the league just for some practice. And then once we got maybe 3 games deep and we realized we were undefeated, we started to realize that it was actually getting real. And it was fun. It was good. And yeah.
And Mike, let me kind of set this up as well. This was our first season doing baseball. We Power 5 Sports League, we teamed up with USSSA. And we came together and everything, and we want to provide a platform for teams, travel teams, and individuals as well, because we also had an individual team that we put together through Power 5, and but we wanted teams to be able to come together, and like they said, look at it as extra practice, but like in-game practice, like real-time practice, and that's kind of the way we set it up, and again, like I said, we started this spring was our first year. And so, I want to, thank Coach and his team and Oakley and his guys and everything for being a part of that. Yeah. Because they were in the inaugural season for that baseball season. And so, I hope that it, helped and we could continue to do it. We got a lot of good feedback, coming from, coaches and other people want to do it in the fall as well. So we're also looking into that as well. So, but yeah, I just want to, give a little background on how that started and everything, and then, let y'all take it from there. So I guess I'll go into, the next question. Like, so what was your Oakley? What was your favorite part of the season? What was
my favorite part of the season? Was probably the championship, not the championship, the final, the tournament, the actual tournament part of the last end of it.
At the end of the season?
Yes, the end of the season where it was kind of, we got to play back to back. I liked
the playoffs.
I liked the playoffs. I liked getting there and feeling like we accomplished what we came here to do. And and got the dub. Got the belt.
Got the belt, got the ring, man.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
Someone forgot to bring it, but it's
okay. Had y'all ever won a championship belt before?
Not a belt. We won.
That was a little bit different.
We won rings and posters. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Got a couple rings.
Yeah.
Yep. Never a belt.
I wanna add a little bit to what Oakley was saying about the playoffs, and here's the cool thing about this entire league. So the semifinal game, we're playing a team called West Texas Grit. And West Texas Grit had struggled somewhat throughout the season. I really don't know what their record was, but they didn't get a lot of victories throughout the regular season. But we're in the semifinal game, and I'm going to tell you right now, these guys gave us fits. I mean, those kids improved tremendously. We ended up barely squeaking by them to get into the championship game, and that's a shout out to the league itself and how well it works in such a short amount of time, but also to the other teams and other kids. We weren't the only team that utilized this league in order to improve, and it definitely helped. And I want to thank Coach John and Coach A and for those guys putting it together and giving us and all the other teams the opportunity just to be there. So yeah,
that's amazing, man. That's always comforting to hear, especially as we're building something, on the Power 5 side that we anticipate being bigger, being better, not necessarily just being a springboard to get to a different spot, but being, sort of a hub where that belt can get passed down year after year. And it's up to you guys to, retain it. As you pointed out, Coach, I mean, the whole point of this is to get reps. It's for the kids. It's to enjoy the game of baseball. It's to stay on that field. And, the improvement and the teamwork and all of the effort that goes behind it, it's all part of the puzzle. And, seeing those results sort of play out, even, the Grit were 1-3 throughout the season. But the fact that as you pointed out, they gave you a run for the money. That's always encouraging to see, encouraging to hear, not just, from somebody outside looking in, but also I'm guessing from the kids' perspectives, because they could look back, even though they didn't beat you guys, they could say, well, you know what, we had an off season, but you know what, we gave everything we could. We learned, we improved a lot more, and next year that belt is going to be ours. So it's nice to see. It's encouraging to see that sort of unfold and play out the way it was supposed to. I'm going to pull up a little highlight here, Oakley, of, I guess this was passed on. And I want you to sort of break it down for us, walk us through your thought process as this play sort of unfolded. And just, we want to hear it from you directly.
All right, let's see it.
Look at these pristine baseball fields.
Yep.
Brand new. Okay,
what did he throw you there?
I think it was a curveball because my teammates were telling me first strike curveball, try not to chase it, and if you do, try to get a hold of it. So I'm pretty sure it was a curveball.
Curveball, you got to have patience, huh?
Yeah.
Got him on that one.
And then I think it was an inside fastball.
You were ready for that one, it looked like.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good
man.
placement, man. Other way, gapper. Beautiful.
Right.
So which game was this? Was this a regular season game or was this one of the playoff games?
Let's see. Who are we playing?
This might have been this was just on a travel team. This was
okay. So this is when we played the Pickles. Right? Okay. So this is during a tournament. Yeah. So at that moment, I was thinking like, I think we were down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're down. And I was like, I got to get on base. I got to do that. We got to put us in a place to win. And my teammates, especially Creed and Kinsler, were telling me that they're giving you a first strike fastball. They're giving you a curveball.
Curveball, yeah.
They're giving you a first pitch curveball. And I was like, okay. And so I got up there and I saw it and I thought I could get it and I couldn't get a hold of it. And I was like, okay. I got to do this. Mm-hmm. So I got in that with my brand new crayon pencil, my crayon bat. And I stepped in the box ready, knowing I have to get a hold of this ball. Even if I get a pop out, I have to touch it. I have to get a hit.
Right.
And he threw me an inside fastball, which you probably know that's my pitch.
And I
just put the bat on it and let it fly.
Let it fly. That's awesome, man.
Right.
And hustle my butt to first.
There you go.
Right.
Fast.
Like for me, one of the things that stands out based around that explanation is the communication that you guys had on the bench, right? You know, like you guys are talking to each other, what to expect. You know, keep an eye out for that first pitch curveball. You knew it was coming. You know, he snuck it by you, but you know you were not going to be fooled on that next pitch, and he threw you your bread and butter, and you didn't miss it. When you're on the base path, we didn't really get an extension of that particular highlight. But are you a threat to run?
I think so. I would hope so. I would hope so.
Don't sell yourself.
Yeah, because that was my specialty. I could never get on base, but when the big boy got on base, then they put me in the pinch run. So I had the most steals in the league, but no hits.
I struggled to get on base a couple times, but once I did, I was on base.
There you go.
Yeah. My struggles was mainly in the box. I was how do I explain it? I was kind of scared in the beginning of the season just because all my friends, they always got hit, and I was just kind of nervous, and I would get scared. And then I kind of worked through it and kind of got in my head a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met this phenomenal, specifically batting coach.
What's his name?
What's his name? Alfonso.
Alfonso.
Shout
out Coach Alfonso.
And he really helped me get out of my head and just make me realize that I can do it as long as I'm not in. It's a mind game that I have the fundamentals and I'm really good at it. And so once I got out of my head, I could kind of get in the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got on base, I was unstoppable.
Hey, well, I find it ironic that you said that you had problems in the box and you were afraid of getting hits. However, you said your favorite pitch is an inside fastball, and most pitchers throw that to back you up or to put a little intimidation. Yeah. So that let me know that you practice on the very thing that was either your fear or your weakness, and you turned that into your strength, right?
Yeah. I always kind of loved just inside or just right down the middle, that little area. But then I started getting in my head, like, because all my friends started getting hit and the pitches started getting faster.
Right.
I started to get in my head, and I realized once I got out of my head, I could get back to it's just the machine and it's just the arm on the machine. And once I see it out of his hands, just see where it is and put the bat on it. Relating
practice to actual game. That's huge. That's huge.
We talk about a lot of sports on this program throughout the various episodes, and I've always made the argument that the hardest thing to do in any sport is to hit a baseball. You know, just the concentration, the ability to stay relaxed, the fundamentals that go behind it, and then of course as you get older, the pitchers, you know, they get better too, right? So the pitches start coming a little faster. They'll mix up different pitch, varieties. It only gets a little harder as you move up the ranks with that particular sport. So with respect to, some of the other sports and activities that you do, I touched on, wakeboarding earlier. There's components involved with various sports that translate into other sports and activities as well, whether it's speed, whether it's agility, whether it's, various skill sets. Balance comes to mind with respect to wakeboarding. What can you say about your experience playing basketball, playing football, wakeboarding, doing some other activities? I hear you're a little bit of a hunter too. That requires tremendous focus and just making sure that you're in the right place, before you execute something like that. What can you share as far as some of the skill sets that you've sort of perfected and acquired in other sports and how that translates into your passion for baseball?
So talking about how it crosses over, the biggest thing I see and that I know is just like stance. When you're playing football and you're in your legs, you're like right here. When you're at second base, you're there. When you're wakeboarding, you're here. In basketball, if you're getting in the paint and you're on defense, you're still here. Almost every sport has some component of that stance, that defensive, powerful stance. That it's just, that's the thing that crosses over for me the most, is even if I'm struggling with that at second, it's just wakeboarding. Or speaking of stance, I have a one wheel. I got for Christmas. And at first, I was really bad at it. And then my sister said, just think about it as surfing. And I got the balance, and now I'm just riding around, nothing to it.
That's cool. I
So
call
the biggest
that
thing-
stance the gap. Good athletic position. When I teach these kids that stance, because that stance right there that you're talking about, it translates into any sport that you play.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Hey,
that's cool.
I would like to, Dad, Coach Beall, how do you, hearing what your son is saying as far as what he does on and off the field, how he prepares himself, how he wants to be a servant, and working on his weakness, like how did you have to force him to do that? Because a lot of kids, they would like to play the game versus work out. So hearing him say all of this, what was some of the coach's cues that you gave him to promote him to do that on his own?
Mm-hmm. So I'm coach,
Yeah,
but I'm also dad, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm wearing two hats at all times, and it's hard for me to differentiate between which one I got on. Right now, as we sit here and discuss this past season, I'm nothing but a proud dad.
Yeah.
You know,
that's good.
so but to say that he's growing as an athlete more than I even realize, because to listen to him talk about the things that we've discussed and him actually bring it back up is huge. It's huge. And so that as a dad and the coach, I see where I can back off now. I see the things that we can improve on and work on together, but I also see where I don't have to be so critical. Now, throughout the season this year, it was frustrating as a dad, as a head coach, to see him struggling so much in the box.
Right.
He was struggling, and it wasn't due to his lack of effort. It wasn't due to him hitting bombs in the cage.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's in the cage and just absolutely crushing the ball. And even my other coaches say, man, if he would just hit half as hard as he does in the cage, there's no telling what he would do on the field. And once he worked with someone else, you guys are coaches, you know how this is.
Fathers,
and I've said 1,000 times certain things, and he hears it from another coach, and then all of a sudden it happens. It clicks for him. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I was humble enough to say, hey, I need somebody else to help this guy, because I'm not getting through to him. And Oakley taking that and seeing him use it and be able to tell you guys everything that he struggled with and how he succeeded through it. Man, my shoes are knocked off, man. That's all I can say is I can't wait to see the future growth in this kid and in all my kids.
Yeah.
Each one of my athletes this year, our athletes on Savage, they all struggled with different things.
Right.
And they did a great job as a team of picking each other up on those things.
Yeah.
The instruction about telling your teammate what to expect when to come up to bat. Those are not things that we harped on, but it's something they picked up on.
Right.
And obviously something that they shared with each other.
Right.
I mean, these kids are learning and growing. Coaches out there, your kids are understanding way more than you think they are. They're sponges and they're getting it. So when you're frustrated in the trenches, remember they're getting it.
They getting it.
Yeah.
See the small victories in each one of your athletes' lives,
Yeah.
and celebrate those,
Man.
because there's a bright future for each one of these kids, whether it be in athletics or whether they're going to work or whatever it might be. They're going to take these things and the attitude you present to them for the rest of their life.
Right.
And so that's I'm amazed.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I'm absolutely amazed.
If this segment right here needs to be for those coaches out here, Coach Beall said a mouthful.
Yeah.
Small victories. Now you have some of these kids that the physical part is not there, but if you are coaching and their mental aspect is there, their body will catch up. And when their body catch up, whoa, fireworks is going to happen. But just to hear you say, I'm a father and I'm a coach, and I have to be able to back down. A lot of coaches that are fathers, they miss that, right? And again, that in itself can be a whole segment that we can have. You spoke a mouthful, and I hope everybody out there that's listening that are coaching understand what you said, because that's golden.
Shoot, I kind of want to expound up on that, man.
Please
to be
do.
honest with you, man, because that's a huge topic that goes around about, the term daddy ball. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of coaches. Like I've coached my son. Coach A has coached his son or whatnot, and a lot of people coach their kids that play these sports and everything. So how do you feel about the term daddy ball? What do you do to I guess denounce the negativity of it? Or I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you feel anything about it? How do you feel about that term daddy ball?
So that's always been in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Oakley's not my first child. My first child, Haley, is a senior at Texas Tech, and I coached her in softball throughout her entire life. And my other daughter, Addie, she played mostly basketball and volleyball, and I didn't coach her too much, but I did coach her in softball when she was young. But going through that, all these kids don't look at me as Oakley's dad. They see me as their coach. And so I try to be conscious.
Right.
In fact, Oakley can agree with this. Am I dad on the baseball field?
No, but I got a bad habit of sometimes calling you that.
Right.
I mean, you get so used to it.
but I try to not be dad on the baseball field.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got 12 kids that their parents are expecting me to do my job for each one of those kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And if my only focus as a dad is my son, then
you're doing everybody
that
else
quote
a disservice.
daddy ball
Yeah.
comes into play.
Right.
But I'm with you. I want to change the norm,
narrative.
the narrative around daddy ball.
Yeah.
Because daddy ball can mean that you're a dad to all your players.
Right.
And
like,
you know what I mean? I think we need to change the narrative around it. You will recognize a team that has daddy ball.
Mm-hmm.
His son's on the mound. He's walked 7 kids. He's batting fourth, and he struck out 4 times. That sort of thing. That when Oakley, when you make a mistake, what's coach do? I mean,
Well, I'll specifically talk about pitching. We got one rule, and it's a rule that I always think about. If you walk 3 batters, is it 2 or 3? 3. If you walk 3 batters, you're done. No matter if it's me, if it's my best friend, if it's the best pitcher, if it's the worst pitcher, if it's the worst pitcher, if it's the best pitcher, it doesn't matter. 3 batters walked, you're done. That way, because if it's 4, it's you score.
Right.
And so 3 batters, you're done.
And the rule applies to everyone.
Yep.
I'm gonna sort of tie all this up with what everybody talked about here. Coach A, you brought up like coaches need to listen to this, right? Like I'm gonna take it a step further and talk about the parents. And you know, sometimes we touch on this a little bit, mostly with football, just because it is this second religion in the Permian Basin out there. But we have too many parents, and we sort of coined the phrase Madden cover parents, where they think their kid at 5 years old deserves to be on the Madden cover. And, there's a process that needs to get trusted, right? A process of growth, a process of ups and downs and failures and successes. And it sounds like, whatever hat you feel like you were wearing, whether it was coach or dad, you got to experience that throughout the season. And I think that the summarization that parents need to understand in this is that there is a growth process to this, and they need to trust it.
Right. That is so true. I know, speaking of having your son play for you, my son, when he was playing for me, I tried my hardest to make sure he didn't have any extra, or what would you call it? He didn't get away with anything. So I was harder on him.
Privileges.
Yeah, I was harder on him than any other kid. I also kept him out of plays until I talked to Coach Wright from Odessa, and he told me, if your son was not your son and he was another athlete with the ability that he has, would he be in the game? And I said, yes. He said, although you're his father, don't keep him from those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
The parents are going to speak regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But if he has if he has those skills to make the plays and he's better at it, afford him those opportunities.
Yep.
So as coaches, fathers, you have to look within yourself and make sure that your son or your athlete are able to do the things that you need if he wasn't your son and you would use him as if he was another kid. So that's pretty hard, pretty good to keep in top of your head.
Yeah, and I do agree with Coach John that this topic can be enormous. We could sit here and talk about this for a long time, and I'm open to it. But at the end of the day, there's not a coach out there, in my opinion, anywhere that steps on a field for one player. For one player. I really don't believe that. Whether he might be a little bit more on his kid's side,
bias, okay,
or whatever it might be, that coach is still there for all those other kids.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage parents to understand that coaches are not just there for theirself.
Right.
I mean, they're doing a job for all these kids. They volunteer their time. They're not paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Some coaches are in this day and time in travel organizations, but most of the time those are not parents.
Yeah.
Those are not fathers who are trying to just find a place for their kid to play.
Yeah.
And so once again, John and Coach A gave us a place to play this spring, and it completely changed our team.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. I hated to go off on the tangent right there, but I just think that's important, though. You know, it's a lot of parents out there that listen to this podcast as well, and so you know, it's a various number of topics that we talk about, and I think that's you know, to hear different perspectives and different opinions and voices on it is very vital to you know, going back to Coach A's prayer, you know, that someone hear it and have some inspiration from it, or you know, things could change, and if something is not going right or has not been going right in their time now, and things could change by hearing these different perspectives. So that's awesome. But I do want to get back to Oakley, though.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Back to Oakley.
Well, this is more of a family type question, and then we're going to segue this and get into Oakley's experience. But it sounds like you guys are a diamond family, right? I mean, baseball, softball, you clearly have that DNA gene embedded deep within the family roots there. How did it all begin? Where, like, you, again, we talk about football being sort of the primary piece of the Midland area. How did baseball really fit into the priority level as far as athletics in the family?
So speaking about baseball and softball, it really all came from my dad, because something he always told me, and I don't really know if I still believe it or not. But when he was younger and he was my age, one time he hit 3 home runs over the lights off the same team. And I'm pretty sure all 3 of those pitchers, there were 3 different pitchers, are now my coaches. So you said something similar, something like that or something, but the same game, 3 different pitchers, 3 home runs over the lights. And so I don't know if I believe it. I don't know if it's true, but yeah. So that's probably where it came from. All right, here you go.
Okay, here you go.
So the details of that story are often skewed, right? So don't forget, coaches, your kids pick up things that you might not intend for them to.
Pick up bits and pieces.
So, but how did baseball begin in my family? Of course, when I was a kid, I grew up on a farm. I'm still a cotton farmer in Howard County, about 45 miles east of here. But I grew up on the farm, and Dad one day built a batting cage outside for me and my little brother. And that was just one of the things that we did. But to back up another 30, 40 years, my grandfather played semi-pro baseball before he went into the war.
Wow.
And so the love for baseball, I mean, they were trying to make a living. They were just trying to get some money for food at that point in time.
Right.
He had lots of great stories. His claim to fame was he struck out Sandy Koufax, and he got a hit off of it.
Okay.
And so, you know, he told me that story 1,000 times if he told it to me once. But that's where baseball came from, the love of it. It's definitely in my blood. I grew up as a kid, not only playing baseball, but watching my dad coach men's softball all over the country. They had a successful team. There was some guys here in Odessa, OPT. You ever heard of OPT, Odessa Physical Therapy? Yep. They had a big team. They traveled all over the world. I slept in the bleachers overnight watching grown men play softball. And that's where I learned how to coach, sitting in the dugout with my dad while he's coaching the team, you know, and that sort of thing. So, baseball's been in our blood, and it's softball as well. I mean, we're playing the same game on the same diamond. Everything translates other than pitching, you know. So that's where it came from. So, but yeah, on those details, man, we got to have another talk. That story is not completely clear.
I got the pretty much some of it. I got the some of it.
That'll work.
Well, one of the really cool parts about baseball, as it compares to a lot of other sports, is that there's usually one or a handful of moments that generally stick out, and that you tell those stories day after day, generation after generation. I mean, you basically just proved it with whatever your grandfather had told you about Koufax. Right. I think this is a pretty decent time to hit pause, and we're going to try to stump Coach A in today's trivia question. And of course, it has to be baseball related, and a local baseball related here. So, all right, which ball player turned the 11th unassisted triple play in Major League history on May 29th, 2000? It's his claim to fame, that one play that he did. He played 16 seasons in the majors and was originally from Midland.
Randy Velarde.
Figure skaters around the world are disappointed.
Hey, thank you, Randy. Yeah, I got it.
Randy Velarde. Which is,
I bet you if I didn't put the Midland quote, like the Midland hint in there.
Say Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco.
Hey, so Mike, one of the fields that we played on, that's at Reyes, is named after Randy Velarde. So we played on Velarde Field.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. 16 seasons in the bigs, man, and you know, an unassisted triple play. When you think about how hard that is and how many different moving parts there are involved in a play like that, that's pretty impressive.
You don't have that?
I'm sorry?
You didn't have that clip?
Yeah.
The highlight? No, I think we'd get copyright infringements for that one. At least Pat last week was in the play.
Right.
So Oakley, let's talk about, you know, the fan of baseball. Okay. And you know, we were joking beforehand. I mean, I'm a kid from the Bronx. I'm a huge Yankees fan. You know, we were joking around earlier about how they're, you know, usually under the microscope of scrutiny. Who's your team? Who's your favorite player? Who's the guy that you got posters on your wall, the trading card you'll never trade? You know, talk to us a little bit about your fan experience with respect to the game.
Well, to start it off, my favorite team's the Texas Rangers, obviously.
Okay.
And it's probably isn't a very much surprise, but my favorite player is Marcus Semien, second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
But for the posters and the trading cards, whatever, I have a lot of, which might be a surprise, but this spring break we went to Georgia, and I have maybe 12 Savannah Banana signed baseball cards.
Yeah.
And I have a Savannah Banana baseball signed by almost every single one.
Oh, wow.
And here, let me see if I can pull up a picture.
Savannah Banana.
But I took a picture with almost every single one. Specifically, my favorite, I went with my friend, Coach Rack himself.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's
So-
cool.
Coach Rack.
I don't know if you probably can't see it, but
We'll get it. We'll put it in post production.
Yeah.
That's really cool that the Savannah Bananas came up in this conversation. I met Jesse Cole, who owns the team. I've had several conversations with him. I've been at keynote presentations where he described the path that he took and the scrutiny that went behind it on building a league like that. A lot of people call it the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. But I don't know too many baseball teams that can sell out a football stadium, year after year, week after week. It's really impressive show of, athleticism and entertainment. And obviously, I asked you about fandom. You brought up the Texas Rangers in passing, and you focused on the Bananas as far as, some of the memorabilia that you cherish here. What was that experience like? Was seeing the team play? I mean, obviously you're a big baseball guy, fundamentals, spreadsheets, and things like that. And you see a guy pitch on stilts. How does that translate?
well, I'm gonna do that. I didn't actually get to see stilts, sadly. And they didn't do any big performances or whatever. But while I was there, we got a very good close-up view. And what I want to talk about them is their motto. You might not know this, but their motto or whatever is fans first. So the whole time there's music playing. They're just all really nice. I think they're like their manager. I got to talk to him. He got me some of those cards signed. He let me meet some of them like in person. I kind of got to, they really know how to be nice and how to like talk to them and how to make it really fun.
That's cool.
One
The
thing I want to talk
atmosphere.
about though is while we were there, we were on the first base side, like right next to the dugout in Georgia. And so there was an umpire. There was an umpire there, and it was the ninja umpire. And he came over and was like staring at me and my friend. And we were like chit-chatting or whatever, and I had Dippin' Dots. And I said, "Do you want some?" And he said, "Yeah." And I stuck the spoon through the hole, and still with his mask on, he pretended to eat it, and it fell all over. It was so funny.
Is this the one that always dancing?
And he does the backflips and
he
stuff.
does.
He does the flips, and he's the ninja. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So it was really just a really fun experience. There was music the whole time. They had really funny and cool like dances, really cool walk-up songs. It was all just really fun.
There he goes.
Oh,
there
yeah,
he
that
is.
guy. That's him. That exact guy. He came up and he was talking to us in Georgia and was like, it was really fun.
So they play a game, but
Yeah.
they interact.
They
with the
play a
fans.
game, but it's less like a literal baseball game, and it's more like watching like a TV show or something.
Right.
It's all entertainment, fun with the game.
Yeah.
It's
the game
their
involved,
main
yeah.
thing is just implementing like content and just funny
Content.
stuff into
Right,
their game,
right.
and it's really fun.
I
Most
think
of them dances they do and stuff is like on
TikTok
TikTok,
stuff.
huh?
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's real easy. We have to be dedicated, devoted, committed. Everything gets disciplined. You have to continue to always be serious about athletics and
Yeah.
sports.
right.
And these guys are doing something for the sport that makes everyone who wants to be a part of baseball included.
Right.
They make everybody find some joy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we need to remember at the end of the day, we started this podcast off correctly with a word from the Lord.
Right.
We got to remember that we're playing a game.
A game. It's just
It's a game.
Right.
And
Come on,
and
Coach.
it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And if we're not having fun, I tell these guys all the time, if we're not having fun, go home.
Mm.
Like we're not going to sit here and be ugly to one another and let the heaviness rule us.
Right.
Right.
I believe that Savage was so successful this year because of the low pressure environment that P5 provided for our kids to just go out and be kids and play the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And it allowed our team. I mean, I'm telling you, we play on Thursday night and we beat a 13U team 7-0 or 14-0. And then on Saturday, we go play against these 12-year-olds in a hyped up environment in a tournament and they freeze up.
Yeah.
And so, the kids need to have that freedom
out.
and joy as a part of the game.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
that's all I got as far as
So
that.
Oakley, I'm gonna throw a comment out, and this is gonna date us actually. Dippin' Dots, whenever I would go to Yankee Stadium as a kid, was known as the ice cream of the future. And I guess they dropped the end tag because it is the future. It's everywhere now. I don't see it anywhere. But they used to serve that in little baseball helmets with the little spoon, and it was called the ice cream of the future back then.
Golly.
I'll say something really interesting and really funny about Dippin' Dots. It's actually owned by like a meat company. Like a company that makes like steaks and hamburgers and
Oakley,
stuff.
don't mess it up for me.
It's not made of meat, but it's made in the same factory.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you're getting your meaty proteins and Dippin' Dots. There you go.
Secondarily.
Yeah.
Don't
There's
tell
an
that to because now they'll tell me that.
There's an alternative. There's your alternative.
Well, speaking
protein.
of meat, I would say pause.
Yeah.
Speaking of meat, in the meaty factory and all that. So I know Mike had mentioned earlier that you hunt.
Yes. I've been
Okay,
doing this
so,
for a while.
So now that you hunt, now that I know that you hunt.
Oh, there you go.
There he is, right there.
Oh,
So I would
look right
love.
there. Look, it's.
I would love to get some deer sausage.
I think we have some, right? Yeah, we have
love
some.
deer sausage,
We'll send
man.
you some.
And I've been having a craving for some deer sausage.
I'm
We'll
leaving
send you some.
Bambi
How about
alone.
That's cool.
Let y'all have that.
Say, I tried to go. Let me tell you this story. I tried to go hunting with your uncle.
Really? Did he ruin it for you?
Man, we didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
It was we saw a badger. He gonna try to shoot the badger from the truck.
To the wrong one. Not he took
Right.
To the wrong.
Yeah.
He didn't take you to the one I got one of. It
Not,
was
not the
it
one with
was
the
a-
hot fits.
Hey, Dad.
Take it on that.
Did you take my hat? Because you said you were gonna do it.
We're working.
I would have gotten it by now.
So disappointed.
I would have gotten it by now. I probably would have gotten it by now.
That's hilarious.
Hey,
man.
before Mike, I would like to ask Oakley, and before I say that, man, your name, Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. I just have to give you props on
That's
that.
what
Hey, let's talk about the championship game in the P5SL league. What was your thoughts going into that?
Kind of like we were talking about a minute ago. We went into it thinking, oh, it's just some practice during the week to get some extra games in to kind of get us to play more baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just practice that we're doing just because we're gonna win, and now it's real. and we got more games in, and we started to realize we're on top.
Keep that foot on the gas.
Right.
All gas, no brakes.
You know?
So final out, like I'm thinking, but what was that moment like when that final out occurred and that you got to celebrate a little bit?
We did it. We worked so hard.
I'd like to introduce our sponsor for the day. Introducing the Long Drink, the perfect way to celebrate victory. Good vibes, great friends, crisp and refreshing. For more details, go visit thelongdrink.com. The Long Drink, official sponsor of the Roundup Inc. and P5 Rally for Youth Pickleball Tournament.